What is going on, y'all? It is the fooliest of Magoolies back at it again. And you know I got a banger for you today. Look, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but today I'm going to keep the focus on really two things. I was going to say one thing, but I'm going to say two things. Because, of course, you know, right now we got a candle event going on. And I was going to do a video doing the candle event, but again, I don't want to take away from the previous video I did that was a guide for the candle event about how to do that to maximize your rewards. I've done this event 5 times, about to be a 6th time, and I've never spent above 90K on this event. But even though that's the case, never do this event unless you have 200K gems. Because if by chance you don't get it, you at least want to get this red armor. That red armor is super, super, super important. So even if you have 160K, don't go for it unless you have the 193K to get the red armor. That's what makes this event. That's what makes this event worth it. There's no other event in the game besides the candle event that gives guaranteed red armor. Every other event, you have a 0.03 chance, and it used to be you had a 0.05 chance at the Christmas event, but they didn't do that last year. So any other event besides this one, you got a 0.03 chance to get red armor. So do it for the candles while it's guaranteed. So now that I got that out of the way, the next reason that I'm here is because recently I've been getting a lot of messages and questions asking about my marks. So I figure I will go ahead and do a mark guide for you guys. And I've been meaning to do it for a while, but I hadn't been able to get around to it. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that off, and I'm going to keep it super, super simple. I'm going to use a tool that everybody has. If you're not a member of Ama2Red's Discord channel, I always say every video, join up. I'm a mod there. We have a lot of good resources for you guys, whether you're early game, mid game, late game, or in game. There's a lot of good info there. There's a lot of good resources there, and there's a lot of good players there with great conversation. All right, let's switch over real quick. All right. Some of you guys may be familiar with this, others not, but this is the Mufasa guide. As you can see, it was last updated in 2022, and because of this, I've seen a lot of people say they didn't want to follow it or read it, blah, blah, blah. They felt like it was outdated. I am here to tell you that this guide, even though it was released in 2022, this guide is still extremely, extremely, extremely accurate. Okay, now the progression stuff at the beginning is a little off. The progression is a little off because there's a lot of units that have come out since 2022. The main being, of course, Xeno Vegeta for your AoE fans, and now we have Beast Gohan for your single target fans. Both are super viable. I use both on my team. But if you scroll, he has a whole section, 2 sections really, dedicated to mark choices. Okay, so I'm just gonna start off, and I'm gonna read it straight from top to bottom, and go over it with you guys. This is the definitive mark guide. This is very in-depth to let you know everything you need to know. So straight off the bat, damage dealers need Mow and Destruction. Healers need Shin and Warrior for your speed aura, and Iron Wall for damage reduction aura. Go tanks starts with Kame Iron Wall, damage reduction aura. Later, Kai Vitality, tenacity aura. It can be rapid, but generally not. This is only relevant when you have multiple units to switch in, and your other tanks would have the Vitality and Kai. Okay. Currently, I use a tenacity and an iron wall on my tanks. For the tenacity and the damage reduction, every unit on the team needs tenacity. Every unit on the team needs damage reduction. That's why I don't use rapid as well, because rapid is good. I like dodge tanks. But with that rapid weapon, my first tank is the only unit on my whole team that is able to take advantage of that aura. So, boom, X that out. I need stuff on my team that every unit can use, and that helps my overall build. Okay, getting back to it. Cell starts with comment ironwall later to Kai rapid. I mean, I didn't do that for myself coming up. I just did the dodge for Cell. Have at least 80% dodge. Champa, Fat Boost start with Kai Vitality, Tenacity Aura, later Kai Rapid. Again, with how dodge is, I am huge on the Kai Vitality. All right, on healers in late game, the aura from Ironwall is most important. Is more important the speed aura than the speed aura because speed is relative and gives diminishing returns, and you should have enough speed on your marks. I don't necessarily. Yeah, I personally, I like to have a warrior weapon with speed on my healer, because I have a Xeno Vegeta team, and my Bulma needs to be super fast. Fight lasts longer, and it's less about who goes first. And now that's shifted because these fights don't last long with Xeno Vegeta. So, like I said, it's a little outdated, but this doesn't have anything to do with the marks itself. Blah 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 blah. On your tanks, your two tanks should in the end have one rapid, one vitality. So one of your tanks is a dodge tank. You don't want to run a dodge tank early because the marks are terrible. So that is kind of true. But once again, with the current meta, like I said, I like to run a vitality tank and an iron wall tank for my off tank. And like I said, that gives the most coverage for me because I have a tenacity aura and a damage reduction aura. Okay, down to the steak and potatoes real quick. Okay, there's 6 marks for each character. 3 of them have the same set as possible stats, while the other 3 have another set of possible stats. They are placed in a triangle, top right, middle left, bottom. So it's like a greater than and a less than symbol for your marks. There's sword marks and then there's shield marks. Okay. So your stats you want to prioritize, you should aim for getting at least 3 bars on that stats. For 2 stats you want to prioritize, you generally aim for 5 bar split. So 3-2, 2-3, 1-4, 4-1. And that's especially useful with speed. I really wouldn't recommend a 4-1 or a 1-4 unless your character is dying of being slow and you absolutely need speed. Okay. So for your damage dealer, which is most people is what they're here for, your damage dealer, your attack percent is most valuable on bleed characters. It says you don't use bleed, but some of you guys may be early game, so you may use some bleed. So attack stat is important for bleed, but generally you want to split your crit and crit damage, your 5 bar split, 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, whichever one you want. And I think you need a generous amount of speed, especially with the current meta. I didn't use speed before. My previous team was extremely slow. There was maybe 1 or 2 teams that I ever fought that I was faster than. So, but when I switched to my speedy team, there's very few teams that are my level that can actually beat me now. Speed plays a huge role, especially in AoE. So you want crit damage, 5-2 split, and also you want that speed. Okay, ideally you have 2 different mark sets for your 2 attackers. One that prioritizes penetration, the switch is necessary. Penetration at least 3 bars, speed at least 3 bars. Ideally, what I will add to this, on your shield marks, you need tenacity and armor, and that is for every one of your characters. You need tenacity and armor for your shield marks. Okay, speed on there as well, but tenacity and armor should be a good 3-2 split because those are both extremely important, especially if you want to survive against Xeno Vegeta. You need tenacity to cut the amount of crits down really hard, and then armor for your defensive stats. Okay, so for dodge tank, speed is less important for these units, but it depends on the unit and the speed of the opponent. For my Omega, I like to have him really speedy. I like to have my whole team speedy, but Omega, I like to have speedy, as well as my damage dealer, because Omega hits the highest attack unit. And with my Xeno Vegeta, I'm already hitting their damage dealers, and I want Omega to come in and kind of finish them up. And if you're wondering, I used to run Omega with Rapid, and he's good with Rapid, but I am running him with a lot of HP and tenacity with a Kai weapon. I don't have him on Rapid anymore. I have him with a Vitality. So, you know, that's been working for me. So you want crit res and dodge for a dodge tank. Okay, this is who we're talking about. Mainly for your offensive tanks, and for your defense, you want tenacity and armor, just like I got through saying. Tenacity and armor is extremely important. For your vitality tanks, which is going to be really just about every tank that you use now, you're going to need crit res and block. I don't run this setup, but this is good for a very standard team. I say unorthodox, it's more meta now, but I run a tank and then a healer as my off tank, because I use Myers. But Myers has the exact same stats as Gotenks, so it's exactly the same as running Gotenks. But you're gonna want crit res and block, or you can run HP and defense. You can run. You want to match it up with whatever the weapon is. But good crit res is important. My tank, I think he has 84 crit res and 84 tenacity, and that works really well for me. The higher that you have your crit res, the better. Block is not as useful with the current meta, because like I said, I don't use a block weapon. I use a tenacity weapon. So I'm counting on, hits not hitting as hard. And then tenacity, 4 bar if possible. Then armor for your vitality tank. So that would be Myers, Gotenks. You want crit res, defense and speed on your offense. Defense, of course, tenacity and armor. For my vitality tank, I run a lot of speed. I don't run crit resistance. I run speed, and I mainly focus on speed on those offensive marks and defense. On my secondary marks, I run armor and tenacity. I say vitality. Vitality tanks, generally your second tank, since your main tank is dodge, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so your healer is going to be your fastest unit. Like I said, speed is extremely important. They got it down here, but speed is extremely important for this. You want some defense as well, because you want your healer to outlive, okay? And if they need to, they can act as your third tank. Your healer is going to be a little bit beefy, okay? Okay, I just wanted to switch back and kind of give a demonstration of what I was talking about before. So my armor, I got 38% armor. Does damage reduction, 38%. I got tenacity, I got 113% tenacity. Extremely important. Like I said, Myers is my off tank. Okay. It's important to like only 36% crit res for this. Okay. I run a lot of tenacity, so I don't necessarily have to worry about crit res. I hopefully I don't get crit very often. Okay. And for my Omega, like I said, same armor, 40% damage reduction. I got 76% block. That's a little low, but like I said, I'm focusing on tenacity, which is 84%, and crit res, which is 84%. So it's important to kind of get these stats points to where you want them to be, so you can have the most effective team. And finally, once again, be sure to not discount this guy just because it's a little outdated. It lays a lot of the good groundwork for especially early game. But in late game, it even tells you what you should do in events. I covered it a little bit, but it says a minimum of 150 gems, okay? There's events in the past, before in 2022, you used to be able to do an event for 150k gems. Now, it's a little bit more difficult. But anyway, I digress. Join the Discord, number one. Number two, there's a lot of good info in there, a lot of good people to help. If you got any questions, continue to message me. I'm going to give you the same information. Ask questions. We got a lot. We got 2 new mods on our 2 race chat. Congratulations, Kiri. Congratulations, Nova. 2 great players, very knowledgeable people. We got a lot of resources on the channel, man. Come through, join up, say hey, share, spread some love, man. Hey, until next time, y'all. Peace.